Hey everybody, Grill Father Johnny Al here, and today I'm going to smoke you a cowboy steak that you can't refuse, and my buddy back here is going to help me out. Stay tuned, I'll see you back at Texas North.
Grill Father Johnny Al, can't you tell? He's the king of the smoke, the backyard smell. Really twisted, burning well. Grill Father Johnny Al.
Welcome back. Now here's the star of today's show. This is a 2.7 pound cowboy steak. It came from Wild Fork Foods. And I just wanted to address the difference between a cowboy steak and a beef tomahawk chop. And really the difference is that the tomahawk chop, and here is a side-by-side comparison between the two. And you'll see that the tomahawk chop has a long extended bone to it, whereas the cowboy steak, it has the bone basically cut off and only a little bit of it is showing. So that's the main difference. Basically, they are both ribeye steaks. So we'll get this out of the packaging and we will get to prepping this up. I'll be right back. Now I pat dried the myoglobin, which is that red liquid that you oftentimes see in the packaging. So I got all of that off. And our prep is really going to be pretty simple today. You can see that the nice marbling in this particular cut. So it's going to cook up nice and juicy and tender. The first thing I'm going to do is put a binder on, and I like to use duck fat as my binder of choice. And this is the spray version, but I also like to use the type that you can render too. But today I'm just going to spray this on. I'm not going to use the one where you have to liquefy it. And so that's the binder. You can use whatever binder you like, olive oil or whatever else. And then as far as a rub goes, I am going to do a 1-2 punch of no salt and accent. So we're going to go low sodium on the rub today. And the no salt, this is a salt substitute. So I'm going to go rather generously with the no salt on all sides. I don't typically cook with salt, regular salt a lot, just because we have so much salt in our American diets to begin with. So why add to it? Now I get the benefits of salt when it comes to cooking and smoking meat, but I like to keep it healthy, and I don't want to develop any kind of sodium type of illnesses or anything like that. So, and then a little bit of the MSG just for some additional flavor. This is accent, and don't need to worry about the reports of accent or MSG. They've been debunked about it being an unhealthy ingredient. And then finally, we'll put some 16 mesh coarse ground black pepper on. I got this at Lane's Barbecue in Georgia. There'll be a link in the description in case you're interested in getting their particular brand of 16 mesh coarse ground black pepper. Nice on this side and then on these sides as well. Pat this in. Both sides. And finally, I will put the steak on a cooling rack like this, and it will be in a refrigerator overnight, uncovered. And basically, I like to use cooling racks to cook for ease of transport in and out of the outdoors and in and out of the smoker as well. And also it allows for the smoke to get underneath this side of the meat. So it gives a nice smoke penetration on all sides of the meat. And also it gives me a nice clean surface every time. So I only have to clean this. I don't have to worry about the grill grates that are in the actual smoker. So we'll put this, like I said, in the refrigerator overnight, and then we will get to putting it in the smoker tomorrow. The smoker's getting up to temperature, but before we go out and put the Cowboy steak in there, I want to talk about what I call the 4 T's for successful barbecuing. And they are taste, tenderness, texture, and the fourth and most important T of all is technique. It's the most important because if you don't get the technique done correctly and properly, then the taste, tenderness, texture, one or all three of those is going to suffer in the final product. You may wonder about the T of temperature, and temperature is important not only from the standpoint of the internal temperature we're aiming for, the temperature that we're cooking at inside the smoke chamber, and the ambient temperature outside. Those are all important. We can control temperature to a degree, so I roll up the T of temperature under the T of technique. As far as the T of time goes, I'm not worried about time. I'll keep track of time in the rest period, but as far as smoking the meat goes, the meat is done when the meat is done. When you reach that internal temperature or you're happy with the tenderness, we don't worry about time otherwise. The second thing that I want to discuss is staying on point, staying on track throughout the whole cooking, the whole smoking process. And the tool that I use is my Texas North Barbecue and Griddle Cook Log. And this is a 3-ring binder that houses a cook log sheet for all of the meats that I smoke. We'll go over that sheet here in just a moment. And the idea, the concept is that there's a lot going on the day of the cook, and this is kind of a game plan that will help me, like I said, to stay focused, keep track of things, and that really help me to manage and monitor things throughout the day. Also, when I go to do a cook again, similar to this, like a Cowboy steak again, or whatever it is, 6 months down the road or a year, or whatever it is, I can go to what I did today, pull out the sheet, instantly refresh my memory of what I did, and I don't have to figure things out all over again. So that's the basic concept. Let's go ahead and take a bird's eye view of today's cook log sheet. Now, on the left-hand side of the cook sheet, we have 3 big categories. We have a pre-cook category and subcategories underneath it, and then the in-cook categories, and then a couple of post-cook categories. We'll get into those in just a moment. So in terms of detail, we're going to be using the Pit Boss smoker today for the Cowboy steak, 2.7 pounds. It came frozen from Wild Fork Foods. You saw that we used the duck fat binder with the no salt MSG and 16 mesh coarse ground black pepper rub combination. And in terms of the wood today, we're going to be using a 2-punch of plum pellets to give us a nice, mild, sweet, fruity flavor, and post oak mini splits. We're not going to worry about using a water pan or any sauce today. It's going to be a very quick cook. And when I'm done smoking, we're going to take it off at 105 degrees internal temperature, rest it a few minutes, and then we will get to reverse searing it. We're going to be cooking today at the 225 to 250 range, and we want to take it to about 120 to 125 degrees internal temperature. We'll be keeping track of the start and the end times. I don't anticipate spritzing or really having to change the wood. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty quick smoke today. Then we really don't need a rest period after the cook. A rest period is going to become during the middle phase there, where we take it off of the smoker and before searing it. Then we will keep track of our temperatures today and any comments that I can find useful the next time that I go to smoke a Cowboy steak. So let's go ahead and get outside. The smoker is up to temperature, so the last thing we need to do before we put the meat on is to get our smoker box fired up. And this is the smoker box here. This is a Diamond King smoker. It's a 6-inch by 12-inch size. It comes in a 6x6 as well. This is a game changer when it comes to pellet grills. This smoke box is going to give you stick burner, offset smoker type quality of smoke. And the way it works is You have this stainless steel smoker box. Inside I have an airflow cage with some fire starters. Then I have some lump charcoal in there. I'm going to fire this up, and we're going to let this lump charcoal ignite. Let it ash over just a little bit. Then we're going to come back and we're going to put our post oak mini split on. So we'll give this just a few minutes. Nice fire is going now. The lump charcoal is ashing over. So let's go ahead and put on our post oak mini split. And I get these at Woodchuck Firewood. Andy is the person that runs that company, and he can get you any kind of wood. I just like to use the post oak. You can see I have a nice mini split here. We'll go ahead and put this on. Let it catch. I'm just going to give it a little jump start with the torch here as well. And I promise you, when this goes into the smoker, you're going to see some beautiful post oak smoke generating. Again, this is a game changer for pellet grills. I highly recommend you spend the $50 to get yourself a smoker box. It does take up a little bit of room, but if you're only smoking one meat at a time, which is what I do, then it's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and let this catch, and then we'll get over to the smoker. I have the Cowboy steak in, ready to go. The post oak is catching nicely and is starting to generate that nice post oak smoke. I'll put the lid on it to partially cover it here in just a minute. And now we are officially entering into the managing and monitoring stage. And we'll check back later on. Now, while the Cowboy steak is doing its thing in the smoker, I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about searing. And what is this business of searing, and what does it really mean? Well, searing is the process of browning the surface of a piece of meat at a very high temperature, like between 500 and 600 degrees. Basically, you're putting a crust on the surface of the meat. So searing initiates what is called the Maillard process. And that's a chemical reaction that occurs when amino acids and sugars, when they get together at a very high temperature, and what results is a vast flavorful array of compounds that give the meat its brown color on the surface and its flavorful taste. So that's, in a nutshell, what searing is all about. One myth that I want to debunk for you. And there's a myth out there that what searing meat really does is lock in the juices of the meat, that somehow by searing a piece of meat, that the juices inside the meat are not going to be able to get out. There's going to be this impenetrable barrier that is formed, and you're going to get this amazingly juicy piece of meat because those juices are going to be contained within. Scientists have debunked that. It's not true. And in fact, the opposite could happen, that if you sear meat too long, you could actually dry it out. So don't believe that myth. Now, there's two types of searing meat. There's a traditional sear and then a reverse sear. Traditional sear is when you take a raw piece of meat and sear it up front. You sear it right from the start, and then get a nice crust on both sides, and then take it to the temperature that you're looking to get it to, your internal temperature. It works good with thinner cuts of meat, thinner cuts of steak, and it also will go pretty quickly versus the reverse sear. But the problem is, the con to the traditional sear is that you're not going to get that nice, even edge to edge pink color throughout the whole piece of meat. You'll get it in the center of the meat, but not through the whole cut of meat. So that's your traditional cut. If you're in a hurry, or the traditional type of sear, if you're in a hurry, then using the traditional sear will work. Reverse sear, which is what I'm going to do today, involves cooking the meat, whether it's in an oven or the smoker, to an internal temperature of about 10 to 15 degrees below what your target is going to be. Take it out, let it rest for 10 minutes, pat dry it, and then we will do the sear. We will put it on the cast iron or on the grill grates at a very high temperature and do the sear at the end and take it to the internal temperature that you are looking to get to. It works better with thicker cuts of meat like we're doing today. You saw the thickness of today's meat, so reverse sear will work well with that. And the result is, hopefully, here in a minute, as we'll see, hopefully we're going to get that nice edge to edge, even pinkness throughout the whole cut of meat. The con to it is that it makes the cooking process a little bit longer than if you did the sear up front. So we're going to use the reverse sear today, and I like to sear my meats on a cast iron skillet. I have a rectangular one. We'll see that here in just a moment. And I like to do it on a smooth cast iron surface just to give it an even nice crust on the surface of both sides. I'm not looking for these pretty grill grate marks or anything like that. I just want to have I use a bacon press and I put it on there to add some weight so that the entire surface of the meat gets a nice crust. So we will see that here in just a moment. My temperature probe went off at the 105-degree internal temperature mark. So I'm going to take the steak off, let it rest for 10 minutes, pat dry it, and then we will get to the searing stage. Just a few minutes. A few moments later. So I have the searing station set up. It's about a 550-degree cast iron skillet. First thing I'm going to do is put down some high heat point oil. Take my scraper here and give it a nice even coating. Okay. Then we'll get our meat and we will place it on there. To get a nice beautiful sear. And we'll take our bacon press, put it on, some added weight, and then we will let it sear for a couple of minutes. So I have both sides seared. See beautiful crust on this side. And let's check out the other side, which is the first side I did. See a nice crust going on there. So got a couple more degrees to go. We're about 118 degrees internal temperature. And then we will take this off and get to carving it up. I'll see you inside. So with a reverse sear, you don't have to let it rest after taking it off the cast iron skillet. We already did the rest period in between the smoke and the searing process. So I'm going to get right into cutting this up. Remember, we took it to 120 degrees. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of this bone. I'm just going to cut right down. Edge here. We'll set this bone off to the side. That will be a nice treat for me. Let's go ahead and get cutting this up. And I like to cut on the double bias. 45-degree angle this way, and then another 45 degrees this way. So we'll go ahead and get to slicing this up. Now it was about an hour and 10 minutes on the smoker before I took it off and again let it rest there for a little bit. 10 minutes is usually fine. Pat dry it so that you have as nice of a dry surface as you can, so that that will help with the searing process, making that crust the way it is right here. So I think the sear turned out very good. And getting close to the middle here. I think that's good. I'll stop right here, finish cutting this up here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how we did. So here you have it. You can see it has a nice edge-to-edge pink center. Very juicy and very tender, pulling right apart. So really happy with that. You can see the juices on the cutting board. I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to ring the dinner bell, let the gang know that it's time to eat. Well, hey everyone, thanks again so much for stopping by the channel today. I don't do taste tests on camera because I can't offer you a bite to eat, so I like to mind my manners and not eat in front of you and be polite. So I do my taste tests off camera, and when I had my taste test today with the Cowboy steak, it was mamma mia, forget about it good. The taste, the tenderness, the texture. You saw the nice crust on it. You saw how it pulled apart, the juiciness on the cutting board. So I think everything that I did for the technique helped with the other T's of the 4 T's for successful barbecuing. So I encourage you to follow the process, follow the technique that I laid out in today's video so that when it's your turn to smoke a Cowboy steak, you are going to really be happy with the taste, the tenderness, and the texture. So I'm not going to do the taste test on camera, but I am going to give this the Grill Father Johnny Al stamp of approval. Hey everyone, thanks for watching today. I really appreciate it. Hope you found today's episode useful and helpful. Would you do me a favor of hitting the like and subscribe buttons? Don't forget to hit the notification bell also so that you get notified when new videos of mine come out. And also, don't forget to share this video with a family member or a friend. Until next time, this is Grill Father Johnny L signing out. Take care, God bless, and smoke on.
Real Father Johnny L, can't you tell? He's the king of the smoke, the backyard spell. With a twisted, burning will. Real Father Johnny L.